Howdy, shipmates, it's Captain Dan here. Welcome to Storytime with Captain Dan, a time to share in tales old and new for young and old, a time to lift our spirits as we're all stuck at home in lockdown due to the coronavirus. Now each day I'm telling a little tale, some ancient, some modern. Some are chosen by me and some are just chosen by other people. And today's story is a special request. Captain Dan will just put his cup of tea down now. He's a bit thirsty today. And it's a special request for my friend Jonathan's two daughters, Gabrielle and Philippa. So it's a shout out to Gabrielle and Philippa. I hope you're still enjoying good old Captain Dan. And one day when this is all over, he might just come and visit you, if that's what your mummy and daddy want, and you do too, and share a story in person when we're allowed to be together again. Because I understand that's what's been asked. Well, Captain Dan likes to keep people happy. So this is a classic tale actually I'm sharing today of the princess and the pea. Because I understand you like princess stories, is that true? Well, this is a special story about a princess and a pea. It's a funny thing to have a story about, don't you think? It's a classic tale. I remember hearing this when I was a little lad. So this is the princess and the pea. So long ago, in a faraway land, there lived a young prince. He lived in a beautiful castle, in a beautiful kingdom, with his parents, the king and the queen. But he was very unhappy because he could not find a bride. You see him there on his horse. One day he set off on a long journey to visit all the other kingdoms to find the princess to marry. But for all the miles he travelled, the princesses he met, he did not find one to marry. He returned home a year later. His parents eagerly awaited the news in the throne room. "Well, my son," said the queen, "have you found your princess?" "No, mother," said the prince. "I have met lots of princesses, but not a true princess." "They are rare," said the king. "Just wait and see," said the queen. "Everything will turn out right. You will find your true princess." You can see them talking there. "But when?" asked the prince. "I travelled so far with no luck." The prince returned to his favourite pastime, riding in the forest on his fine horse. But he still thought about the true princess. It's hard when life gets you like that, you know. Autumn came, and then one night there was a dreadful storm. The wind howled and roared around the castle towers, finding every little nook and cranny to whistle and blow through. The rain beat against the windows. It was not a night to be outside. The king, queen and prince were sitting by a roaring fire, warming their toes, when suddenly there was a loud knocking at the castle gate. "Now, who on earth could that be on a night like this?" said the queen. "Chamberlain, answer the door and show the person in." The chamberlain went to the door and returned a few minutes later with a very wet and bedraggled looking girl. She was soaked to the skin and shivering with cold. "Thank you," she said. "I am so glad to see the lights of the castle. I'm a princess and I'm lost." The queen looked surprised at this, but said nothing. The prince just looked at the girl. "Come, my dear," said the queen after a moment. "We'll soon have you out of those wet things." The queen and her maids bustled around the girl, who said that she was a princess. They bathed her and dressed her, and they took her downstairs. The queen and the girl joined the king and the prince for dinner. You can can see them dressing and joining for dinner. The girl looked lovely and behaved beautifully at the table and was very shy when the prince spoke to her. She certainly looks like a princess, thought the prince, but is she a true princess? As soon as the meal was over, the queen stood up. I must go and prepare a bedroom for our guest, she said as she left the table. The queen went straight to the kitchen and found the cook. Fetch me a dried pea, please, she said. Just one. What a strange request, thought the cook. But she did as she was told. Well, after all, she was the queen, wasn't she? The queen went to the girl's bedroom. Remove the mattress, please, she told the chambermaid. The queen then put one dried pea right in the middle of the bed. Now the mattress back on top, she said, and then fetch 15 more to go on top of that one. Soon there were 20 mattresses on the bed. Fetch 20 quilts, please, said the queen. These were piled on top of the mattresses, as you can see. The queen then escorted the girl to her room and showed her where she was to sleep, on top of the great pile of quilts and mattresses. The girl had to climb a ladder to get up onto the bed. Look at that, how high it is. Good night, said the queen. Sleep well. Good night, your majesty, said the girl. I'm sure I shall have a good night's sleep on these soft, soft mattresses. But the girl did not sleep well at all. She could not get comfortable. There was a hard lump right in the middle of her bed, and she tossed and she turned all night long. In the morning, when the maids came to wake her, she was so sore that she could hardly move at all. It was so uncomfortable that night. I hope you slept well, said the queen when she arrived at the table for breakfast. I thought I would, your majesty, said the girl, but I'm black and blue with bruises. There was something hard in that lovely bed, and I kept lying on it. I was awake all night. I was so uncomfortable. My son, said the smiling queen, here is your true princess. Come. Everyone went to the girl's room. Remove all the quilts and the mattresses, said the queen. And the girl and the prince looked on mystified as the mattresses and the quilts were taken away. There, said the queen, picking up the pea. There. That's what you felt on your bed. You must be a true princess, because only a true princess would feel a small, dried pea through all those mattresses. The prince was delighted. He'd already fallen in love with the girl, princess or not. And a few days later, the prince and his true princess were married. And the pea, well, guess what happened to the pea? Have a look. Can you see? It was there on display in the Castle Museum. So that's the story of the princess and the pea. And it's dedicated to my dear, dear friends, Gabrielle and Philippa. Maybe one day I'll be able to come and read that story to you, or any story you'd like. I know you quite like the elves and the shoemaker, which we've already heard, haven't we? Many other tales. There are many, many tales to tell. But that's enough for today from Captain Dan. I've got my cup of tea to drink and lots of work to do. Like we've all got things to do at this time, haven't we not? So I'm going to wish you all a good night. Good night. Good night. Oh, sweet repose. Don't lie on your belly. You know what's coming, don't you? Join in, because you might just squash your Good night.